Gentlemen, excellent to be back with you on MGTOW Money. Today's topic, China versus the U.S. World War III. Before we get to that, thanks to the ongoing support from the Patreon investors in this channel, and welcome Curtis, the newest member of Patreon supporters of this channel. Men, I sincerely appreciate the support, as well as I appreciate those men who bought me a cup of coffee via Bitcoin, PayPal, based upon the last video. Men, see the video description of today's video. Become a supporter of this channel now. Before I get into today's topic, I want to recognize a message I got from longtime supporter MGTOW Thunder, a Patreon supporter of this, and I'm going to put it in context. Men, imagine this. You're 22 years old, or at least in your early 20s, like I know a lot of you are, and imagine you are shivering. You're not shivering from the cold. You are shivering from fear. You're about to wet your pants. Your stomach is churning. As a matter of fact, you're probably vomiting right now. You're vomiting over the side of a boat. Specifically, what I'm talking about is 75 years ago today, June the 6th, 1944, is D-Day. That was the day where the Allied forces in World War II initiated a beachhead. In other words, started a counterattack against Nazi Germany, where they were going into occupied France at that time. This was a decisive moment in world history. I cannot emphasize that enough. For most of you, if this was not successful, in particular, if you're in Western Europe right now, if this was not successful, it is likely you would be speaking German right now, if you're not already. The point being is this was a turning point. And just by virtue of this one particular battle, and there, of course, were hundreds of battles throughout World War II, it's this one battle that had a major effect. Just like if you can get a few things right in your life that I've mentioned before, or avoid a few catastrophic errors in your life, you can have a great life. Let me give it to you in simple terms, men. MGTOW Thunder, thank you. We need to remember and respect those warriors that came before us and those men who got the few things right. Thank you to those veterans. Thank you to those older men that are participants on this channel. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. And again, I encourage you do the same with older men in your life. All right, on to today's topic, China versus the U.S., World War III. Are we destined for war, men? Are we destined now for World War III? Last March, to be specific, you can go back, look at the list of videos. I did a video where I was discussing how war had been declared, how the Trump administration had declared war in terms of a trade war in this particular case, and this was discussing with South Korea. Now the war, frankly, has been significantly amped up, as you may or may not be aware. Now we're going against China. This is a much more difficult competitor. I encourage you, go look at the video link, because I'm going to include a link to a book called Destined for War, about a war potentially between America and China. Can they escape the Thucydides trap? I'm not going to get into all the details in the Thucydides trap, but the point is that you have two countries, one that's obviously significantly rising, in this case China, one that is seriously established, and there could be some serious conflict between them. And moving beyond just a simple trade war, which is not simple, as we're going to be discussing in just a second. There are three things that you need to take away from this, and you need to start seriously thinking about, because this will impact your life potentially for the next several decades. One, men, I seriously encourage you, I've mentioned this before, start playing defense with your investments. In particular right now. What do I mean? Start stockpiling cash. Start putting money away into some sort of emergency fund. You don't have to put all your money into cryptos. You don't have to put all your money into the stock market or into real estate, etc. Start building up a serious little pile of cash, at least 6, possibly 12 months of living expenses minimum. I go even higher. That's only because I am paranoid. I am concerned. I am convinced the world's going to come down tomorrow. So I do a lot of things that, quote, typical people don't do. But at least in the United States, you can pick up 2.5%, 3% on that super safe money by putting it aside. This, again, is a relatively good return in today's world. Piled up cash is going to be a soft pillow. You are going to sleep well at night. I can promise you. We are going to see, most likely, as we've already seen, serious market volatility. In other words, things are going to have wild swings. And prices are going to increase up and prices are going to increase down. And the products that you are buying, whether you're talking about, oh, I'm buying a washing machine. Oh, I'm buying an iPhone. Oh, I'm buying a Nintendo game machine, whatever. Prices, in particular, of products coming out of China almost inevitably are going to increase in price due to this trade war, due to these tariffs. Next, you don't need to predict anything. You got to start preparing. If you have any debts, if you listen to nothing else here, if you have any debts, especially those that have a serious interest rate, in other words, that you're paying interest of above, let's say, 5, 6, 7%, this especially applies to credit cards, stop paying the minimum. Pay them off as quickly as you possibly can. If you've got to live like an immigrant for a year or two, or do several years, as I did, frankly, you need to put every penny you have in it. Forget the savings part and start paying off all your credit cards. Start paying off any of that high interest debt that you might have. This is absolutely critical. The sooner you get debt free in life, the much easier your life will be. I virtually guarantee that. And furthermore, if nothing else, you are going to be able to make much better decisions like, oh, let's say, hey, I'm going to quit this job that I hate, because it's going to be a lot easier to quit a job that you hate and go do something else if you have no debt than it is if you do have debt. Next, you're on your own. Let me be specific when I say that. Get this through your head. No one is going to save you. No, there are no bailouts here. I see so much. I got this idea, and even I was afflicted with it up into my early 20s. I had this idea that somehow that there was a safety net or whatever. No, there's not, men. You have to start small. You got to start today, and you got to take control of your life. You can start building assets today. You can start doing small things today that have zero downside. I've mentioned numerous things in terms of small side hustles, updating your resume. How about just tracking your spending on a daily basis? These are simple things any person can do anywhere in the world. Doesn't require any sort of intelligence, etc. You can do this. These small incremental habits that you start doing will move you forward. And it furthermore will empower you and make you a stronger person in the long run. Finishing, man, I got 3 takeaways. Look, play defense. Avoid making mistakes with your investments now. Play defense. I can't be any more specific. You don't need to go crazy here with some of your investment. Having a cash position is a great position right now. Frankly, now that I'm thinking a couple of months ago when I put some money to work into something, I might have made an error. We'll see. I don't know. Next, start thinking worst case. Start thinking, well, let's see, if I'm unemployed, what's going to happen? Well, if you're unemployed with debt, you got a serious frickin' problem. I'm speaking from experience. But if you're unemployed with no debt, you know what? It's a lot easier. I'm not saying the world's going to come to an end tomorrow. I'm not saying that at all. But the sooner you start preparing, as opposed to attempting to predict what's going to happen in the future, the stronger you're going to be. Next, lastly, be a 1%er. Expect nothing from no one. No one owes you anything. No one is going to save you. You can take control of your life. Take the steering wheel. Take control of your life. Go take the rich life that you deserve. Gentlemen, as always, I hope you found that profitable. Hit the like button if you did. John Galt out.